Hi everybody, thank you for joining me for Coffee and Card at Home. So we're using a new bundle this month for the month of June, and we started our first session this morning on Zoom, and we are making these two lovely cards this evening using the Elegantly Said stamp set, and later on in the kind of monthly series we will use the punch that goes with this as well, but tonight we're just using the stamps from the set. So these are the elegant cards that we're making. I think you'll agree they are very elegant. I think it makes them feel quite elegant with the colours that we have and everything else there, with the gold and that kind of thing. And I'm going to show you a couple of different techniques that you can do using the black as well. So we're going to make a start. I'm just going to put those to the side, and what we're going to start with is a basic black card base, and I'm just going to burnish my fold. And then we are going to stamp onto that, but we're also going to stamp onto a piece of basic grey as well. And then we've got a strip of gold foil card, and then just a little bit of basic white for our sentiment, and then we'll be using a little bit of gold twine as well. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to stamp onto my grey first of all, and we're using this corner pattern from the stamp set. Hi Tracy, thanks for joining us. Which is, it can be used as a corner stamp, or you can choose not to go right up to the corner with it. So I've actually decided to go slightly over to one side with it, because I wanted to get the image in rather than having a blank bit around, but it's a nice corner bit as well if that's what you want to do. So first of all, I'm just using Black Memento ink. I'm just gonna get the ink on my stamp, make sure it's well inked. I think we're okay with that, and we're going to stamp into each corner. You can go opposite that way or opposite that way, whichever you like really, it doesn't really matter. And like I said, I don't want to see any of the edge on one side, so I'm just going to stamp it so that it goes over the edge of the card rather than going right up to the edge, so that it leaves me with a bit of a blank bit around the corner. So it's entirely up to you what effect you prefer, but it's a very pretty detailed stamp. I'll just clean off that ink from that one. And then that's all of our black stamping done. I'm going to put that to the side for a minute. I'm going to bring in my black base, and you'll see that we need to stamp onto probably about 3 or 4 centimetres wide there. You want it to overlap a little bit as well if you can, so that just gives us an idea of how much we need to put down there. And I'm using this technique where you use Whisper White craft ink onto a really dark base, and whenever I've done it, it always really looks really stunning, but I think especially onto black it's going to look really nice. So I'm using the flower, which is obviously a solid flower, so it works really well with that. And we're just going to take the ink, make sure the stamp's well inked, and then we're going to just again go over the edge. You can turn the stamp slightly. I want to do a bit over there so that when it overlaps I've not got any blank spaces. Might go for another one there, one here, and I'll just pop a bit on the corner there. And I'm just going to double check that my grey, when I position it, will be in the right place. Yep, that's fine. Now I'm just going to clean off my white ink with a baby wipe before I put it on my stamping scrub, because with pigment ink, which is what the white ink is, it sometimes leave a bit of a mess on your stamping scrub. So I'm just going to use a baby wipe first to get most of the ink off, and then use my scrub to clean it. And I'm going to pop that to the side again, and then I'm using one of our old inks. A little while back we had some lovely metallic inks, and I really love the Golden Glitz pigment ink. I thought this would go really well with the gold strip, so I'm just going to stamp my sentiment. I'm using Thank You from the set. Just going to ink that up and just pop that in the middle of my card. And that's just a very small piece of Whisper White that I've cut. Just for my sentiment to fit onto, really. So I'm going to get my black piece of card, and this is a basic C6 size. I'm going to just put my grey like that. My strip of gold is going to sit just behind, and then obviously my sentiment will go on the top. So I'm just going to show you how I'm going to attach my piece of gold. So I want it to be that way round, so I want to stick it on this side. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue down this side here, not too much, and then I'm going to put my gold piece on. Before it dries fully, I'm just going to turn it over so it gives me a chance to get it lined up how I want it. And then when I'm happy with where it is, I'm just going to press that down. So I'm giving myself a little bit of distance there. It's probably slightly more than ½ centimetre probably. Oops, a bit of sticking going on there, and then I'm going to stick that then onto my black card. So I'm just popping a little bit more glue around the edge of this piece, and then I'm going to bring my black piece back. Carefully pick that up, and then I'm going to position it on the left hand side. There we go, just press it down there. And then finally what we're going to do is we're going to pop our sentiment on. Now you can choose where you want it to go. You might want to make sure that it's in the area there where it's blank, or you might want to put it down in the bottom corner, entirely up to you. So I'm going to pop mine here, so it's sort of not quite in the middle, but it's using some of that blank space there, and it's overlapping slightly onto there. So one of the things that I've done is I've used some gold twine behind my sentiment. And one thing I always find when I'm using twine is it never quite goes where I want it to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a couple of glue dots onto the back of my sentiment, or you could use a little bit of snail or something like that, but some sort of adhesive, not wet adhesive really, like Tombow, otherwise that might be a bit messy, so that you can actually attach the twine to those bits. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap it around my fingers once, twice, sort of 3 times. You can go with as many times as you like, really. And then I'm going to cut that off there. Now this is the fiddly part, because obviously you want to keep this looped around the best you can. You might need to sort of bend it round. This twine has a bit of a mind of its own, really. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try and catch it in on this side here where I've got one glue dot there. And then the same on the other side over here. I might just catch that loose end in if I can as well. But what you're aiming for is to get those loops so that they're not just flying off all over the place and then you can't attach them properly. So you've got them attached there with the glue dots, and then when you turn it over you should have that nice looped effect then. And then what we're going to do is we're going to attach those with some dimensionals. So I'm just going to pop, I think 3, so I'm going to put 1 over the top of that, and it will just help secure the ribbon a bit more as well, and then 1 in the middle. And then peel the backs off of those. And then we can attach that to the card. So, like I say, I'm going to go kind of where we get a little bit of a blank space. I'm going to use my grid lines to try and help me to line it up. And just press it down. There we go. And that's done. So, excuse that, I obviously haven't turned my volume down on what I'm doing. So just looking at the other ones that I've done, you can see similarities, differences. I've just got my sentiment in a slightly different place. So as I'm obviously in demand, I will leave things there, and what I'll do is I'll put the dimensions of everything in the comments, because I've realised I haven't given you those, and then I can list on there for you. Okay, thank you for joining me this evening, and I will see you again next week for week 2 using the same set. Bye.